Welcome, listener. How are you? We're glad you're doing well, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where we talk about issues in the blindness community. Usually, I know a little bit more about my guests, or all podcasters should know a little bit more about their guests, but then again, I was asking in our group where I post ideas, I was asking what you want me to talk about today. And I'm glad I did because someone by the name of Robert Castro Giovanni reached out to me. Um, and I, I really do not think we know each other, by the way. But I heard that there were some important issues that you wanted to talk about that you've heard from my other episodes that you want to apply and expand upon in today's episode. So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
good. So I will mute my microphone and I will interject as you walk through the conversation. We have a little over an hour. I think that, as I say, listener, I think about an hour is about the attention span that listeners have, and I feel that that's a good length for Aaron's opinion. All right, Robert, go right ahead.
Well, thank you, Aaron. As Aaron mentioned, my name is Rob Castrogiovanni. I live in London, Ontario, Canada. I actually did. I heard about this podcast. I was going through some Facebook stuff as I usually do, and I came across Aaron's posts, and that about the what about his podcast, and got me interested. And that thing about that he said, we don't know each other. By the way, I actually I went to school with a fella by the same name as Aaron Richmond. So that name, the name kind of got my attention. But more importantly, it was the post. So as he said, he came across me, and I do want to. The thing that I do want to talk about does apply to the episode. He had Ken Smith on, and Ken was talking about stigmas and about how blind people, and Aaron was touching a little bit. They were touching on how blind people have this attitude of, you can do anything, and that's good, but some of them don't do it themselves. Like, some of them do not, they'll say, oh, you should do this, you should do that, but they don't apply it in their own lives. It's one of those things, do as I say, not as I do. And I find a lot of superiority in the blind community. For instance, some blind people, a lot of blind people I found are in different walks of life. Some blind people have kids, which I think is amazing. I personally will not do that myself because I'm not the type of guy who, I'm not the fatherly type. But I do applaud. I actually shared a post about recently about a blind mother who, and she navigates. But it's that thing that Ken Smith said, and they touched on, like, people are saying, oh, he become blind, he has to do this, or they tell him, oh, you're expected to be like this. You have the attitude that, oh, blind people, you're blind, you should be doing this. I do not know. I can't imagine what Ken, was going through. I do applaud him because he is, dealing with it the best way he knows how, the best way he can. And I think, what he said applies to everyone. I mean, I find the blind community is very judgmental at times with people. I must tell you that I have a sister who's blind as well. It wasn't supposed to turn out that way, that, my parents had two blind kids, but it did. And of course, I mean, I went through a battery of tests when I was little, and, you know, well, for other things too, but, they couldn't tell, why. But then they found out that, oh, they had another blind kid. And my grandfather actually, God rest his soul, became blind later in life due to macular degeneration. My grandfather, like everybody else, he didn't mean to do it, but there are a lot of people that, they'll talk loud at a blind person because, at the hearing impaired community, they yell a lot. And but anyway, back to my problem that there's a stigma that all blind people should be this. I had a worker that she said, "Oh well, I know a blind person that could go under a car, change a tire. And obviously, I can't do that. I'm not good with cars. I kind of wish I was because that would have been a good trade to have. Would have been a good thing to fall back on. I'm a musician, of course, and I play guitar, keyboard, teaching myself how to play the saxophone. And I've been playing for a month, but already, I'm discovering, because I've always wanted to play the saxophone all my life, well, guitar, basically. I went to W. Ross McDonald School for the Blind in Brantford, Ontario, which is dubbed as the Telephone City, because of Alexander Graham Bell's of connection to Brantford, of course. But I play guitar, and there was another blind person that went to my school a long time ago by the name of Jeff Healy, who taught himself how to play the guitar at 4. Stuff I've read, he was discovered by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and that's good for him, but I probably will never get to the level that Jeff Healy gone to, and that's okay. I wish I was more dedicated at playing the guitar when I was younger. I always wanted to play guitar, but when I was younger, it was just, practicing, and that commitment was, now it's, the commitment is easier now that I'm a grown up, I'm an adult. But a lot of people say, oh, they'll see me, oh, you play the guitar, you're blind, you're going to be the next Jeff Healy. No, I'm not going to be the next Jeff Healy. In fact, I don't like to be compared to Jeff Healy because, Jeff Healy did his thing. I did mine, and I've been hearing for years and years and years, oh, you're a blind musician like Jeff Healy. You're going to be the next Jeff Healy. Oh, you're not as good as Jeff Healy. Point, though, it's in my music life. It's in my everyday life. You're not doing this. And sometimes I live on my own with the help of community workers. I don't totally need staff 24/7. I'm fairly independent, but I do have help with a lot of things. And a lot of people, I remember I was talking to a blind person. I'm not going to say who it is. I don't like to mention names, in especially interviews, because if they do hear it, they might, I'm also writing a book and about my time at W. Ross, and this, I've learned to mention names, but to change them because of legal issues, and that's why I don't mention names, and to protect the person's identity, because they don't know. But I remember I told her, and she's like, "Oh, come on, I've been blind for 25 years. I can bake, I can cook. I can't do that. I can't bake, I can't cook. I can use the microwave. I have a microwave that I had brailled out for me, and but it was easier because my sister and I were both blind, so my parents knew what to expect. I guess, but I find that a lot of blind people are there's a stigma about how we should act, how we should be, and as Aaron mentioned about blind people working, I have never really had a paid job. I've done volunteer work over the years. I was a receptionist at the agency I get supported at, Community Living London, for about 2 years, and then I moved on to a music school slash music store where it was a different setup because at Community Living London, I did a lot of call transferred a lot of calls over, but at Wisdom Music Academy, where I did some volunteering, as the administrator there, I just would hand him the phone, so it was a different experience. I am hoping to make music my full time thing. I mean, I like it. I love my music. I remember a lot of people will say, "Oh wow, you play the guitar and you're blind. That's amazing." Well, no, it isn't, because there's a lot of blind musicians. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Jeff Healey, as I mentioned, Andrea Bocelli. There is more blind musicians, but the names do escape me at the moment.
I
But
really like I really like everything you've said so far. And that yes, here I am, and that part about that Jeff Healey, I probably should know who that person is, but I really do not. Perhaps they were famous a long time ago, before my time. By the way, I am 28 years old. So maybe they were famous then, or a long time ago, or maybe they were more famous in Canada. Remember, I'm somewhere in an undisclosed location, but not in Canada. I'm not in your country, so I do not know who that person is.
oh
The
no, that's okay. I do know there's a lot of Americans who know who Jeff Healey is, but
Well, good. Well, listener, if you're one of them, don't forget to comment below and say, Aaron, you should have known who that person is, because and if they are that famous, that's interesting. But moreover, I too never like to be compared. I don't compare myself to anyone but me, and I'm only competing with me. And I don't really concern myself with comparing myself to other people that I will never be or have no interest in becoming. So, that's really a huge life lesson. The second thing I want to say, Robert, is I did not mean to offend you in my last episode, where I voiced my concern about blind people sitting at home and not working. You're doing the best you can, and I appreciate the volunteer work you're doing. So you are working, so that does matter. And I'm
oh,
sorry if
I have
I'm
worked in the past.
I'm sorry if that offended you. I
No,
did
no,
not
no,
mean.
it's okay. I'm not working at the moment. I have worked.
Well, that's good. And I did make a point of saying that a lot of blind people struggle with maintaining work their entire lives. Frankly, in this day and age, I think anyone struggles with maintaining really any type of work their entire life. The second thing that I want to talk to you more specifically about is I'm really happy that you are working on a book. You are at least the 34th guest who is working on a book. And listener, you at home, you will know that I have made this offer to other lists, to other podcast, to other guests, and they have not taken me up on it. So we're going to hope that Robert here from Canada is the first one to take me up on it. Robert, could you do us a great, great favor? And after